is on this ballot too. And finally, I hate to say it, but our access to the ballot itself, our right to vote in free and fair elections is on this ballot. So if you listen to Sister Kamala at the Supreme Court hearings this week, you heard her say that North Carolina Republicans targeted Black voters with almost surgical precision. And that's why everyone, I mean everyone, needs to make a plan to vote. And after you make a plan, vote your plan and help your friends and your family members and your colleagues to make a plan too. In-person early voting started today. Mecklenburg County has 33 places where you can vote. In fact, if you look around, there's probably an early voting site less than a 10-minute drive from you. And it's open right now for voters to cast their ballots. So let's take advantage of the increased flexibility and the extended times to vote as early, as safely as possible. Folks, we have the power to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, to re-elect Governor Cooper and support Democrats up and down this ballot. We're going to turn North Carolina blue. We're going to make Donald Trump a one-term president, but we can't do it without every single vote. So join me in voting early. Join me in voting for better health care. Join me in voting for reproductive rights. Join me in voting for our climate. Join me in voting for justice. Join me in voting for a roof over every head and a strong and fair economy. And join me in voting so that we never lose that right. And vote like you've never voted before. And help me turn this mother out for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Thank you, Reverend.
You know, Congresswoman Adams, I'm going to have you come preach at my church because I think that was a sermon right there. So thank you so much for your remarks and for encouraging us to preserve and to reclaim those things that are most important to us. You know, I am a beneficiary of the Affordable Care Act. I am on the insurance plan through the Affordable Care Act. And I was gravely concerned by the hearings this week with the Supreme Court nominee, along with all the other things that are going on to try and dismantle a healthcare system. If that is something that is concerning you, if that is something you are worried about, the choice is clear. And it is important to elect those officials who will preserve our healthcare, who will fight for the rights of LGBTQ persons, who will continue the march towards climate justice and environmental rights, and will help us preserve what we have left and move us forward into the future. Our next guest is the Charlotte Mayor. I actually really enjoy listening to her on NPR when she's on the radio on those, I think it's Friday mornings maybe when she's on talking. So I really enjoy hearing her. I've never met her, but I know that she is a wonderful woman. She is in her second term as mayor of Charlotte. She's led a real policy effort to increase affordable housing, along with talking about transportation and community safety. She's no stranger to Charlotte politics, but we are grateful that she is here tonight to talk about the importance of voting and all that is in store for us this evening.
Thank you, Reverend Lee. I really appreciate those kind words. I am so happy to be with you today because we know that it's just 19 days until we're going to elect a new president and vice president of the United States. I'm Vi Lyles, and I'm mayor of the 15th largest city in this country, Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm proud to call it home. We're going to win in Charlotte, and we're going to win all across North Carolina, again, because we have taken no votes for granted, and we plan to fight our way through until November 3rd. I know we say this a lot, but it bears repeating. This is the most important election of our lifetime. And the work we put in over the next several weeks is going to determine our country's future for the next several decades. And everyone here needs to understand that. Now, I've been fighting for justice and equality and equity for years in my city, in my state. And I can tell you, we have this moment in time to make this difference. The people of North Carolina are tired of being lied to. They're tired of being disrespected, and they're looking for leadership that listens, understands, and acts. I'm so proud to be a part of this effort to restore the soul of our nation, and I can't imagine two people more qualified to lead this effort than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Joe and Kamala understand that our people need health care, a strong economy, and we need some leadership to achieve racial justice in this country. They know the struggles and the pathways we have to take. But on the other hand, they completely understand our strength. And they know that we can take this on, we can experience this election, that we can win this, and we can make our country better. So what I would say to you, early voting started today in North Carolina. So let's get out there. Let's start taking advantage of this early voting. As the Congresswoman, my Congresswoman said, there are 33 sites in Charlotte right now open, still open, for you to come out and vote. And let's continue, not just the day. You know, a lot of people like to come out on just the first day. There's a second and a third, all the way until November the 3rd. So let's make sure that we get out there. And you know, if you have any questions about this, any doubt about what you need to do to vote, visit iwillvote.com/NC, iwillvote.com/NC to get the information that you need to get to the polls. And remember to take somebody with you, a neighbor, a cousin, your mom. Just let's do this. Let's make it work. So I know also that the president that we need to defeat has talked a lot about poll watchers and things that are very negative, trying to keep us away. So if you need any additional assistance in voting, just contact the voter hotline. It's 1-833-868-3462, 833-868-3462. You can get help in this in English and Spanish and many, many other languages. If you have a question or a concern, reach out because we're all in this together. So let's get out there, let's use our power, and let's make sure our voices are heard. Thank you, Reverend Lee, for the opportunity. Thank you, Kamala Harris, for visiting our state. And we're going to make this happen for the Biden-Harris ticket.
I hope you all can really sense the excitement that is going on. I think that everybody here is very energized for the opportunity not only to witness history with the election of the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket, but also to reclaim the soul of this nation and the heart of this democracy that we all wish to reclaim. None of us have been unaffected by the pandemic and the realities and complexities that it has presented. That said, it was nice to be at the early voting station today in my county and see old friends or people that I hadn't seen at a distance, of course, but being able to experience some fellowship and some friendship there in that place. Our next guest is Anthony Hamilton. Anthony is an American singer, songwriter, and record producer. He is a Charlotte-born son who is an amazing, amazing recording artist. He has been nominated for 17 Grammy Awards, and he has something valuable to say to us today. So, Anthony?
Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here and excited to represent North Carolina, one of the states that really, really matter. I want to encourage people to get out and vote with all urgency and to go out and vote for something that matters. Vote for a team that has integrity, has class, has passion, and someone who has the care of the people, a concern for the people, healthcare and housing and things that are not there for people, underprivileged and underserved people, medical assistance and things that are not taken seriously. Also for the environment, people who care about the environment. I think clean air and clean water is so important. And for people who will make sure that we get those things, those essential things that we need as people. criminal justice, and you know, a fight against prejudice and hate and division amongst people of color and people and white in the white community. I think as a family, we should stand together for things that matter, things that are humane, and things that are just decent. We need a house that's decent. We need a White House that's set on principle, and we need a White House that has love and passion, and a White House that fears God, so that it can govern your decisions and the things that make us better people. So the Biden-Harris ticket is definitely looking more favorable for that. I see a lot of decency. I see a lot of passion, a lot of love, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. And I will continue to represent and get people to go out and vote, use my voice and my platform to encourage those. So North Carolina, let's stand up, show out, and vote big.
Thank you so much for that, Anthony, and for your remarks. Some of you may be wondering, why the heck is a pastor offering to MC an event and doing this and hosting and preparing for our remarks from Senator Harris. In 2017, my life was changed forever. I was reckoning with the realities of Charlottesville. And as a descendant of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, I was forced to choose. Do I side with the Trump administration and the good people on both sides mentality? Or do I speak up and offer a word that is different and contrary to the administration's reality that they had presented? As that played out, I found myself on the stage of the MTV Video Music Awards proclaiming that Black Lives Matter at a time when that was not a phrase that needed to be said by some in the Trump administration. I found myself losing a job and finding my soul again here in the heart of North Carolina, because I may have lost my job due to my remarks about Black Lives Matter, but I found a way to pave for justice, to work for justice in this community in North Carolina, because we need it. We need leaders like Roy Cooper. We need leaders like Senator Harris and Vice President Biden to take the helm and remind us of who we are and who we belong to in a sense of each other. We are beholden to each other in this moment. You know, I think of my friend Sloan Fleming. She's 10 years old. She lives in California, and she looks up to Senator Harris as a beacon of hope for all the children across this country who need to see a leader who can offer us dignity and decorum at a time when that is absent in the halls of power. I think of my parents, Rusty and Sherry Lee, who are about to buy an RV and retire. They're hoping that their retirement pays off after years of hard work. So my hope for them is that through this election, we will be able to ensure that people like Sloan, who are 10 years old, and my parents, who are a little older than that, might be able to have a future that is beautiful and bright. So as a descendant of Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general who led to divide this country, I'm proud to introduce to you someone who I believe will unite this country for a better future, for a better tomorrow, and for a brighter joy that we have before us if we just get out and vote. So friends, let me introduce to you the vice presidential candidate for the Democratic Party, the next vice president of the United States of America, Senator Kamala Harris.
Oh, thank you, Reverend Lee, and for your leadership and your voice and your courage, your commitment, for your love of our country. It being rooted in a faith that teaches us so well that we must always fight for justice if we are to live God's plan for all of us. And I just want to thank you. You've been a real inspiration to so many people, and I think that your story and the way you live your life and use your word is about who we really are, which is a country that is born out of many things, but can always fight for unity and togetherness and kindness. So thank you for that. And to everyone, greetings, all my friends. You know, I was supposed to be with you in person today, and other things happened, but I love North Carolina. And I was there just, I think it was last week. We lose track of time these days. And I will certainly be back. But it is so great to be with everyone. I want to thank all of the leaders, Sarah Gerback, Mayor Mannheimer. Thank you. I know I was supposed to be in Asheville with you. My dear, dear, dear sister and friend, Alma Adams, for all that you do. And thank you for always sending me such a kind and inspiring note. Mayor Lyles, thank you always. And of course, Anthony Hamilton, I'm such a huge fan. I said, Anthony Hamilton, a singer? I was so excited to be with you. And thank you for your talent and your skill and your gift that you just share with so many of us. And Bibi, same thing. Bibi wrote this most beautiful song about this moment. And thank you for the gift of your voice. And again, thank you to everyone. So as you all know, I was supposed to be there, and late last night, we got word that two of the folks involved with our campaign, one who is a flight crew staff, he doesn't work on our staff, but works on the flights, and my communications director, Liz, that they contracted COVID-19. I've talked to both of them. They are well. They're doing well. The last time I saw them was 7 days ago. I've had many tests now, and they are all negative. And I am fine. I'm good. But we want to just be cautious, because that's where we've been as a campaign, to take this seriously and to hopefully model the kind of behaviors we should all be engaged in to be safe. But I'm on the road virtually, as you can see. I just left Wisconsin to join you in North Carolina. And I'll be back physically on the road on Monday. But I want to just thank you all for accommodating the change in schedule, and for all that you do. And I'd remind everybody, let's adhere to the CDC guidelines and be safe, and as an extension of loving thy neighbor. So here we are. We are 19 days away from this election, which is going to decide so much about not only the future of our country, but really who we are presently, and what we want for ourselves and what we believe in. Like Joe says all the time, this campaign and this election is really about a fight for the soul of our nation. And I really do believe that. And the stakes, of course, could not be higher. We're facing at least 4 crises, all happening at once. Of course, COVID and what that has meant in terms of a public health crisis. And I don't need to tell North Carolina what that has meant in terms of, nationally, over 215,000 people have died in just the last several months. So many because of the nature of the virus, without family to be there with them for their last hours on Earth. 7.5 million or more people who've contracted this virus, with unknown long-term impact, but which also, by the way, is going to mean that there are now 7.5 million people who will now have this new pre-existing condition, which should require protection so that insurance companies can't deny them care. We're looking at an economic crisis. Over 30 million people in just the last several months filed for unemployment. We're in the midst of a hunger crisis we're not talking enough about. People are in food lines, hoping and praying that by the time they get to the end of the food line, there'll be food left. Mothers, I saw a number of mothers, 1 in 5 mothers is describing her children under the age of 12 as being hungry. We're in the midst of a crisis that is about a generational crisis and a reckoning on the issue of racial justice and injustice in our country. And then we're also facing a climate crisis where, my home state of California, so many Western states, Oregon, Washington, are looking at wildfires that are raging. Families are becoming displaced. Firefighters have died fighting those fires. On the Gulf Coast, how those storms have been ravaging communities. in places like Iowa, the flooding that has caused farmers to lose a whole season of crops. So all this is happening. And I believe that at this moment, with these crises converging, it is requiring all of us to really ask this question, which is a question about, who are we? Who are we as a country? And I think we all know we are better than this. And we have to fight. And we have to fight in particular for the ideals of our country, and fight for what's right, and fight for each other's, for a recognition of each other's dignity. That is, as much as anything, what is at play. And I'm so honored to be on this ticket with Joe Biden. The contrast between he and Donald Trump could not be more stark in every way and on every subject that I just hit upon. On the one hand, you have Joe Biden, who together with Barack Obama created the Affordable Care Act, which brought healthcare to millions of people. Joe Biden and I want to come in and expand the Affordable Care Act. But what it did, we have to remember, is it said, and as part of its spirit, and Joe feels very strongly about this, healthcare and access to healthcare should be a right, not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And so the Affordable Care Act expanded healthcare, so over 20 million people who didn't have coverage got coverage. It said people with pre-existing conditions, like, you may know somebody or you yourself may have diabetes. That was considered a pre-existing condition, high blood pressure, breast cancer. And this Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, said, no, you cannot be discriminated against and be denied or charged more for health coverage because you have a pre-existing condition. And again, now we're looking at over 7.5 million people who have this new pre-existing condition of COVID-19. And Joe Biden is saying, let's keep that intact and expand the Affordable Care Act. So on the one hand, you have Joe Biden. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who is in court right now in the United States Supreme Court, trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And, I said it, I think on the debate stage, he's got some weird obsession with trying to get rid of anything that Barack Obama and Joe Biden created. But when you look at the issue of the Affordable Care Act and its protections, and you couple that with the fact that we are in a public health crisis, it is absolutely outrageous. And that's one of the biggest areas that is impacting North Carolinian voters and people across our country, which is the thing that keeps people up at night. The thing which is that they don't want to go bankrupt. Families should never go bankrupt because they need to pay for health care and they can't afford it. So these are some of the issues that are at play. Our economy. Joe's plan, our plan is about saying we're going to invest in our economy and in working people. We will invest in infrastructure and create millions of jobs. We will invest in our small businesses. I have met small business leaders in North Carolina, incredible innovators who deserve to have the support, not only to stay open or open back up after the pandemic, but access to low interest loans so that they can continue to thrive and grow. These are the kinds of things that Joe and I are committed to. We're committed to saying that we need to invest in public schools and triple Title I funding. That impacts a lot of schools in North Carolina. Schools, Title I funding, that's a fancy way of basically saying schools that are in low tax base communities. And so they are schools that have great need, and that need should be met. We're saying we're going to triple that funding, which includes then supporting the teachers who teach in those schools. These are some of the issues that are at play in this election. And speaking specifically about the impact in North Carolina, look, COVID, there have been over 236,000 cases and over 3,800 deaths in North Carolina because of this virus. In terms of the economy, which in many ways is being compared to the Great Depression, in North Carolina, August unemployment was 6.5%, which is almost twice what it was in February. And don't forget, Donald Trump knew about this on January 28th and didn't tell the people when we could have planned, when folks could have planned and could have figured out maybe how they could save up a little extra if it was likely that they would be out of work for a while. But since in North Carolina since February when it was 3.6. It is now, in August, 6.5% unemployment. In North Carolina, 1 in 10 adults did not have enough to eat in the month of September. That's what we have in terms of the reporting. And when you look at the number of unemployment claims, almost 40% of Black Americans were filed for unemployment in the month of August, despite being 22% of the population. So these are some of the realities. These are the facts of what is going on. And then you look at what Joe is talking about. And again, it's about investing in American workers and in American families, investing in infrastructure, investing in our schools, investing in our future, and doing it in a way that we retain and return dignity to the White House, in a way that we have a president who has in his deepest heart a desire, a strong desire based on a history of doing this, to stand up for working families, to stand up for the dignity of work, and to stand up for the dignity of all people, and recognizing that we are a strong nation when we are unified. So my last point is this. This election ends in 19 days. Yes, that's what I said. Kamala, did you say it ends in 19 days? Yes, I did. I said it ends in 19 days. Because you see, North Carolina early voting begins today on October 15th.
I can't believe I actually did it.
And so
It's not me.
we want you to start voting October 15th. We want you to start voting and vote early. And here's the other thing. We want to make sure that we vote up and down the ticket, because you've got an important Senate race in North Carolina. You got to reelect my friend. We worked together when we were AGs, Roy Cooper, and reelect him as governor. And you got to make sure that we do everything we can to deal with this up and down the ticket. In North Carolina, you're one of the few states that has, you're voting for president, senator, and governor all at the same time. So let's make sure everybody votes and votes early. And then the last one I'll make is please go to iwillvote.com and sign up to make sure that you know where you can vote, to make sure you're registered. But more than anything else, please vote early, make a plan to vote early, encourage your friends and your families to make a plan to vote early, figure out where you're gonna vote, when you're gonna vote, and get out there, because the most important thing that we can do at this moment in time is make sure our voices are heard. And the best way to do that is through our votes. So thank you all very, very much. And on behalf of Joe and myself, we cannot tell you how grateful we are for all that you do every day and all that we will together do for these next 19 days. Thank you.
I just wanna be yourself. Don't sweat, girl. Follow me. That's why I be myself. Let them get mad. They gon' hate anyway. Don't you get that? Doesn't matter if you're going